今回はあなたを一瞬で殺してしまうかもしれません。
やってみなきゃわかんねえさ。
Frieza enters Jump Force as the Emperor of Universe 7, our universe, using his powerful concentration of ki to blast opponents from afar. Frieza is a dictator who controls his own Imperial army and is feared by many across the universe. For the most part, the extent of Frieza's power was unknown, because he was never pushed to his limits, not until he met Goku, Vegeta and the rest of the Z Fighters. Despite hosting an overwhelming amount of power, Frieza's demeanour is quite civilized and refined. He's typically calm, but when pushed to his breaking point, he can become wild and barbaric. He doesn't lose his cool often, however, and he's so confident in his abilities that he typically makes a mockery of those who oppose him. Frieza takes great pride in his sadistic accomplishments. He's well-mannered, composed and intelligent, but he hosts unparalleled cruelty. Being born with such a tremendous amount of power, Frieza has never had to train a day in his life. Despite being born into a powerful family anyway, Frieza was in a whole different league and could effortlessly destroy planets if he wanted to, which is undoubtedly why he's so calm under pressure. In Jump Force, Frieza possesses the qualities of a defensive mix-up character. His abilities can keep the opponent guessing and make them take risks from afar that Frieza can capitalize on for some good damage. He doesn't excel at offense or defense in particular, but Frieza rewards smart play and using his abilities to force the opponent to take risks, so he's very situational. Frieza can also create some interesting setups from afar, as well as some solid support ability. Once again, he doesn't particularly excel at any of this. Frieza's first ability is called Death Beam. Frieza stands in place and fires a beam of light from his fingertip. This beam is linear and precise with long range. When it hits the opponent, they will be sent a fair distance away. Because of the fast startup, this ability is easy to combo into and also great for punishing the opponent and creating space. Despite the fast startup, however, this attack has slow recovery, so continuing a combo afterwards can come with some difficulties. Death Beam can also be used in the air, which is great for catching the opponent off guard. Death Beam can also be charged, which only takes about a second. Charging the beam will make it do a little bit more damage, however instead of sending the opponent away when it connects, the opponent will instead enter a crumple state. A crumple is basically when the opponent falls slowly to the ground, allowing you to combo afterwards. This doesn't affect the long recovery however, so assists will be required to continue combos here. If you're looking to use this as a combo extension, use a good assist for that. Otherwise use Death Beam in a situation that calls for it. Only costing 1 bar to use, Death Beam is Frieza's most versatile attack for combos, punishes and utility. Frieza's second ability is called You Might Die This Time. Frieza takes a stance very briefly before dashing towards the opponent at high speed. Upon connection, a cinematic will play which ends in the opponent getting sent far away from Frieza, about half distance to the arena. It should also be noted that this ability resets positions, so no matter where you are, Frieza will end up in the middle of the stage. The position reset is very useful for setups, which we'll talk about in his third ability and the game plan portion of the video. The startup is fast, and the dash itself covers a very large distance very quickly. Also the dash will fly upwards, which makes this easy to catch opponents in the air within combos or as a punish. This is a great combo ender if you have a good amount of energy to use it. I'd say 3 bars is good enough, despite the ability only costing 2 bars. It's generally a very easy ability to combo into from your normal attacks. Frieza's third ability is called Death Saucer. Frieza channels 2 energy discs before hurling them at the enemy at the same time. This attack is a projectile with incredibly long range. However, the Death Saucers move quite slowly through the air, which comes with its own set of pros and cons. This is your tool you'll want to use for setups. Death Saucer is easy to cancel into, use after your heavy string or second ability to ensure the best amount of time for the ability to channel. Death Saucer takes a while to come out, and Frieza is vulnerable whilst charging the ability, but if you do manage to get them out, you can do some interesting situational things. The saucers track their target once thrown, which means that they'll head back towards Frieza once they've been thrown. This concept rewards smart application. Keeping track of the death saucers whilst ensuring the opponent will have a hard time following them is useful in a number of situations. One big thing about this ability is that it will damage allies as well, which is why you have to be very smart about how you want to use it, as well as ensuring at all times you know where it is. This will damage Frieza himself and any allies on your team. The damage is low to both enemies and allies, but it's important to be wary of it because it will set you into a hit stun state. On hit, Death Saucer can allow for a free ult. Also on hit, you can technically combo afterwards, however because of the Death Saucer damaging you, it can be very difficult. This can be used for regular combo setups, ult setups, or even guard break setups. The ability only costs 1 bar to use and works well in synergy with its other abilities. This is definitely Frieza's hardest ability to master. Frieza's awaken ability is called Death Ball. Frieza flies into the air and hurls a large orb of energy at the opponent, dealing damage and knocking them away. This ultimate is very easy to combo into from normal attacks and Frieza's third ability, Death Saucer. Also, the ability resets the positions of Frieza and his opponent, so it has some utility value, although it's very unsafe like any orb super. The ability isn't great for punishing if the opponent is vigilant, however it will force the opponent to play more defensively, which is perfect for Frieza's game plan. Always look to use this in combos for guaranteed damage. For Frieza's assist, he uses his first ability, Death Beam. This assist is quite interesting. Whilst the original Death Beam is arguably Frieza's best ability, a lot of the strengths of that ability are stripped away in its assist version. As an assist, it's solid for knocking an opponent away in the neutral, but some of its other applications aren't as good as what other assists can do. Death Beam Assist does the regular uncharged version of the ability, so the opponent will be knocked away instead of having the crumple effect. Of course, using this assist won't leave you wide open like Death Beam usually would, but it also doesn't activate so quickly, making it harder as a surprise attack. Additionally, the knockback makes it more challenging using combos unless you're confirming into certain abilities, such as fast range attacks or dash attacks. Typically I don't use this assist because it doesn't do anything particularly impressive, but you can throw it out occasionally in the neutral or just end a combo with it, giving you extra time to charge for energy, as well as being able to save what energy you already have. As I said earlier, Frieza has some ranged mix-up and setup potential, which is important to his game plan. Long range is the greatest for your Death Saucer setups, as you are much harder to punish, as well as still having access to your dash super, since it's incredibly fast. Death Beam can be used as a close range tool, but it is strong in the mid range as a check on the opponent. I'd recommend sticking to offense and learning how you can adapt your combos to seamlessly move into a long range setup. For someone first picking up Frieza, have fun with Death Beam and his dash super, but if you're looking to really master Frieza, I'd recommend putting a lot of time into learning his Death Saucer ability. Death Saucer is the Frieza ability that I'd say defines a good player. Good application of this ability is a great sign of one's dedication to the character. When it comes to this ability, a lot of its strengths come down to context. Using Death Saucer, you can set up opportunities to use your Awaken ability, Guard Break or combo. However, because Death Saucer damages you and your allies, you need to be completely aware of it, as it can just as easily be used by the enemy if they're smart. There's no way to combo into Death Saucer reliably, but you can fairly easily cancel into it from certain strings and attacks, so take some time to learn these. You Might Die This Time is Frieza's best combo ender, assuming you have the energy for it, and easily allows you to throw your Death Saucer and go for a mix-up. Additionally, Death Beam gives you some great mix-up and setup opportunities. It's a solid combo ender or extender if you factor in assists in certain situations, but it's also a very fast ability to check the opponent. Conditioning your opponent in certain situations only to subvert their expectations is something that Frieza can excel at. Frieza's abilities don't have much synergy together, so it's definitely up to the player to find those situations where you can seamlessly move from one ability to the next and adapt your game plan accordingly. Frieza has some very strong pressure and mix-up when Death Saucer is active, so it's all about knowing the best pressure for Frieza, and this will lead into some much stronger stuff. Frieza is a unique character who becomes a massive threat with close range pressure once he's got the energy and distance to prepare himself. He's the only character I currently know of who doesn't excel at long range, but needs long range to transition into a close range threat. He doesn't require any particular support and isn't the best support himself, so he can fit into teams fairly easily as the main or backup character. He's quite fun to play once you start factoring Death Saucer into your game plan, so I'd recommend him to anyone who likes the idea of spending some time labbing out different ways to set up your opponent, as well as practicing the different scenarios where Frieza can shine. Guys, this has been the character overview for Frieza. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.